Hello and welcome back to Ngosa Music. My name is Ngosa, and today on the show we are joined by a very fascinating person, and we are going to be talking about music, about faith, and about academics. My guest today, Engineer Happy Sinkala. Engineer Happy Sinkala, how are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
It is great to finally have you on the show.
It's good to be here.
You know, I just couldn't pass out on a chance to actually talk to this man, and you are going to see from our discussion that there's really a lot that we can learn and a lot that we can share, that he can share with you. Now, Happy Sinkala, tell us a bit about yourself. Introduce yourself just briefly. Who are you?
All right. My name is Happy Sinkala, though I don't use my surname that much. Yeah, but I'm Happy. I am from Zambia and I am currently in Algeria. I love music.
I wanna hide it under a bushel.
No.
I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
So that's the reason I'm here with ngosamusic. Other than music, I'm kind of passionate about science in general.
Okay, thank you very much, Happy. Now that's very interesting because before we even get to the music, I mean, you need to appreciate this. Happy, you told me before you are now a qualified engineer in, let me get this correct, mechanical engineer of power plants and turbo machinery.
Yes.
That sounds hard.
I know.
Now, what does an engineer of your kind do?
Basically, it's supposed to deal with power plants. Power plants is just basically a facility or a machinery that is used to produce energy. It can be any kind of energy. It can be electrical energy and all that. But for us, it extends more than that because we are much interested in things that fly in the air. So we're talking about things like airplanes or rockets. So we're talking about aircrafts and spacecrafts. Most of it, so how to propel them and
so those fancy rockets we see NASA, you deal with that kind of stuff.
That kind of stuff. Actually, for me, even my thesis was based on a rocket nozzle. So
what was the title of your thesis for our nerds who are watching now?
All right, for the nerds, the title of my thesis, my dissertation was a numerical analysis of flow separation in an overexpanded rocket nozzle. That was the thing.
That stuff is easy. Don't get scared. Come on.
That's very easy. Very easy.
I do know, because I know you, that you have performed exceedingly well, okay, in your studies, and it's something you're very humble about. But I'd like you to share to some of our students who are watching out there, what are some of the attitudes that you have adopted that have seen you through your studies? Because you've spent 5 years, is it 5 years studying this engineering? It's a pretty difficult specialty. So what are some of the attitudes that you have adopted over time that have helped you find success in your academics?
Well, one of the things is I really like reading the book of Proverbs because that book, I think it's a book that every young man should read. So I have this project that I was doing like every month that has got set 1 day.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to read the book of Proverbs. So you
really
end up reading the book of Proverbs like 7 times a year, and it does that every year. And eventually I was finding a lot of quotations talking about diligence and sluggardness.
Yeah.
So you read some things like, have you seen a man who is skilled at his work? He shall serve before kings, and he shall not serve before officials of low ranks. He talks about a sluggard who sleeps, he says, as the door turns upon his hinges, so does a sluggard turn on his bed. And it actually says that a sluggard, for him, like, eventually folds his hams.
Yeah.
So a little folding of the hams, too much sleep, poverty will overtake you. And I found like all hard work actually bears profit, but those who are lazy, they will surely go hungry. So we find like there are a lot of these texts. So when you look at these texts, it showed me like it's very important that you focus and you really work hard when it comes to your academics. And this is kind of also something that is motivating. And when you read something from what you've actually shown, you'll be motivated to do more. Then also in the book of Proverbs, you discover it says you are not supposed to just trust yourself, but it says like in your ways, acknowledge God, and He will make your path straight. So you discover that in as much as school at times can be hard, but when you believe there's someone who's in control, you're always motivated to go through all the hardship, and eventually the crown always awaits until it's like,
Wow, that's just beautiful. That's the beautiful thing about talking to Mr. Happy is that I'm always inspired to do one thing. So for example, Proverbs 31 challenge. I'm challenging you guys there to find December has got 31 days, right?
Yes.
This December, start from December 1, reading the book of Proverbs, and by December 31st, they will have finished the entire book.
Yes.
So
a chapter a day.
A chapter a day, beautiful. So you talk a lot about diligence and about putting God first, even in your studies. Now, this becomes difficult to do, to be honest, because as students in university, we're going through a period in time where you're trying to make sure everything is okay, everything is right. You're trying to, it's hard, you don't want to fail. And sometimes you think putting God first or dedicating time for God, for my relationship with God, can be a drag.
Okay.
Or it can, throw me off balance and make me not do well in my academics.
Yes.
But then how do you find this balance, keeping your relationship with God going on fire while also being diligent with your work as an academician?
All right. Basically, if you love someone, spending time with that person.
You just
is not
had
a
to go
loss.
to love.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, it's not a sheer waste of time. I was told by one man, he says, when you're with someone you love, even talking about Chihuahua for 2 hours or 7 hours, it will feel like something that is great still, and it won't be a loss of time. So it's having your relationship with God to be something that is real and not something that is imaginary, like fictitious or
Real.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be real. When you have a real and personal relationship with God, it's your academics. God isn't part of your success. God isn't part of your academics, but God is the center of it all. And eventually, if you are one individual who would put studies first, then you put God aside, you become even more stressed. But when God is the center of your academics, you have the reason as to why to be motivated to continue. And most people, they get so frustrated with school, they commit suicide and all these other things simply because God is just part of the success. So they can put him aside, but it's supposed to be the center. And if we have this relationship with God, is what actually makes us to really put him first in everything that we do. So it starts with the relationship with God, not just imagining like I should put him first. No.
Wow, that makes so much sense, because most of us, we have God as part of the plan to success, so to say, instead of being the main object, centering our lives around that. And that's really important. So you talk about having a real relationship. What would this look like for a student like me on a daily basis? What things do I have to do deliberately for me to have this kind of a relationship with God?
A relationship with God comes differently, and